peace strategist. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us this morning. We've been talking about this Democratic race in terms of a field of candidates. But shouldn't we really be talking right now, though, moving forward, that Bernie Sanders is the front runner for this nomination right now?
Absolutely. I mean, Senator Sanders is starting to distance himself from the field. What you're seeing is the moderates in the Democratic Party cannibalize themselves. You have Biden, you have Buttigieg, you have Klobuchar, all eating into that vote. Then you bring Bloomberg into the fold, and it's becoming impossible for anyone to get anything outside of a plurality.
Alex, I'm a big football fan, and one of my beloved coaches was Bill Parcells. And Bill Parcells used to say about his teams all the time, you are what your record says you are. So if you've got Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders right now seemingly out in front to be the Democratic nominee, isn't that what the Democratic Party is right now? No matter how much establishment Democrats want to talk down Bernie Sanders, isn't this indication that this Democratic Party has moved in Bernie Sanders' position, and that's a move to the far left?
Clearly, I mean, look, the results say you can't argue with the results. He has won consistently, and he's now won in geographically diverse parts of the country, and you're going to see that continue. I actually think another football coach's line, just win, not from my favorite coach, Al Davis. But nonetheless, Biden and everyone else, their biggest challenge at this point is he's still winning. Joe Biden has never won a primary or a caucus. This is the third time he's run for president. You can't be the electable guy if you have never won. And either that's going to change really quickly in South Carolina, or this race is effectively over for the other Democrats.
So, Michael, is that what we saw on display the other night in the debate? Because you would think most times the candidates trailing would go after the front runner. They didn't do that. They went after Michael Bloomberg instead. So what's the thinking? Are they hands off of Bernie Sanders because they don't want to anger the Bernie bros?
Well, I think there is a worry that the Bernie Sanders supporters won't support whoever the nominee is if it's not Sanders. And so there's been kind of apprehension to go after Sanders in the way that I think other candidates have been, gone through the ringer and actually been challenged, their record put on display. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that works moving forward.
This was an interesting debate about how they went after Mike Bloomberg. I want to roll some of this video from this debate, specifically in regards to how they are dealing with Bernie Sanders. Take a listen to this. This is some of the clips from the other night.
I'd like to talk about who we're running against. A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg.
We're not going to throw out capitalism. We tried that. Other countries tried that. It was called communism, and it just didn't work.
Washington Democrats keep on losing their minds. They hate the fact that we're winning. We're winning big. We're winning, winning, winning.
It's hard to argue with the president's point there right now. Trump has been winning. He emerged from the impeachment mess. He has these Democrats going at each other. But I ask you this, is Donald Trump taking that victory lap maybe a little bit too soon after he went around the track in Daytona the other day? We're still really early into this.
We are early. A really small percentage of the country has voted, but when you look at the results and you look at how the race opposite the president is setting up, it sure looks like Bernie Sanders is going to be that person. And the critical moment in this entire campaign, to me, actually took place more than a year ago at the president's last State of the Union address, when he said emphatically, America will never be a socialist country. That's a line that wouldn't have a lot of traction against an Amy Klobuchar, but against a Bernie Sanders, if that is the debate, I think the president wins quite handily.
You know, and somebody else who said that was Michael Bloomberg. So what did you make of Bloomberg, not only in the debate, but how he fixes? How does he fix that, which by all accounts was a terrible performance the other day?
It was a terrible performance. I think he's got to have a strong performance in South Carolina. Because he has so much money, it changes kind of the narrative for him, because he has the ability to kind of wash out.
How does he do that, though? Because he came off as a rich guy who seemed to not want to be on the stage with other people. He came off as dismissive. One of his points at one point, he said, I can't speak for all billionaires, as if that is something the average American could relate to. it just on all sides, it just seemed to burn the house down for Mike Bloomberg that day. So does he need a speaking coach? What would you do with Mike Bloomberg as a pool of clay in your hands?
Put him in front of as little cameras as possible, and put his ads even more flush on TV, more and more, because
double down on what he was doing.
Yeah, one of the problems with Bloomberg has always been once he gets in front of cameras and starts speaking extemporaneously, he's not a very likable person, and so his ads have been really the cudgel that he's been able to hit the candidates with.
Alex, real quick to me, and I know you're a Republican, but talk to me about Joe Biden, because Joe Biden's heading into South Carolina. If he does not win South Carolina, is it over for Joe Biden?
It is over. I mean, yes, it's early in this race, but his entire narrative in this early primary phase has been, we're going to get to South Carolina. It's my firewall. I'm going to be great. If he does not win, second place isn't going to do it for him. And he really won't have a path forward, and there won't be the resources to continue because voters will not continue to invest in that kind of campaign. So it's truly all or nothing for him.
It's been a fascinating race, and it's even getting more so now with the advent of Bloomberg stepping onto those debate stages finally. All right, Michael Starr Hopkins, Alec Vogel, we thank you both for joining us on the Hill this morning.
Thanks for having us.